we just had the Game Awards that just happened, and I was lucky, me, Dennis Zen were lucky enough to be there for it. It had actually a really good time. But you know, one of the big criticisms about the Game Awards is that it's really not very much about the Game Awards. I think out of the 3-hour runtime, I think about 17 minutes was giving out awards. The other 2.5 hours was trailers and commercials for upcoming video games. Although there's something to be said for that. Should the Oscars maybe be taking a few notes from the Game Awards? That's the topic of today's Mint Mobile Hotline question of the day. Listen, guys, if you got a topper question for our show and you'd like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our Mint Mobile Hotline anytime, 24/7 at 951-268-4259. Ryan Reynolds will write down your note by hand and deliver it over to us, and we'll get to it today. And today's is specifically about the Oscars and the Game Awards.
Hey John, this is Charles from Gurney, Illinois. I was wondering if the Oscars borrow from Game Awards and allow new trailers for previews for upcoming movies to be a bigger part of the show, similar to what they do at the Game Awards, adding to additional excitement for collaborations and projects, also honoring the best films from the past year. And to keep the major awards televised, but maybe move some of the other awards pre-show or online format. Thanks.
All right, well, apparently there was something wrong with the audio there, guys. Sorry, don't know what happened there. But at any rate, this is a more interesting question than you might think. Because obviously you don't just want the Oscars to be, because as great as the Game Awards is, at least the idea of the Game Awards, it is crippling with this just all paid advertisements, the whole thing. But there is something to be said, right, about the fact that there are a lot of fans who look forward to the Game Awards because they do want to see what are the games we get to expect coming up. My additional criticism of that is, like, I felt like 70% of the games they advertised were games that weren't even coming out in 2024. They're not coming out till 2025, which means like you can't even really get excited for them yet. But that's aside. Is there an argument to be made that maybe the Oscars could benefit of not just celebrating the year that was, but maybe also celebrating the year to come? That maybe there should be a little bit more emphasis on the Oscar broadcast. Maybe the Academy works with studios to say, hey, have the first looks at some of your biggest upcoming movies this year, even if you don't have much to show yet, but just work on something that we can debut at the Oscars, the biggest day on the calendar for the movie industry. Now, you have to then find a balance, because you don't want to be the Game Awards where it's like 2 minutes dedicated to Best Picture, followed by 27 minutes of trailers of upcoming movies, right? You have to find a way to balance that out. Like, present an award and then say, Tom Cruise is returning again as Maverick in Top Gun. Pfizer, give me a hard on. You know, that's the next movie. You heard it here first. I broke the news. Pfizer, Tom Cruise, Maverick, Pfizer, give me a hard on. That's the hit.
The return of Goose.
The return of Goose. If you know what I mean. But, you know, and then you go and do an award. And then maybe, you know, one of the coming up this coming December is blah, blah, blah. You know, for some reason, Maleficent 3, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit, right? There's something said there. Now, what it would mean is the Oscars would have to do something that they tried last year and a bunch of people cried about, but it was absolutely the right thing they should have done, which is to take some of the categories, pre-record their nominations and acceptance speech. So instead of a 3-minute or a 4-minute process of a presenter walking out on stage and then talking about the art of the short live action documentary goes back to 1927, and we are honored to be joined by those who portrayed excellence in short form documentary, right? Instead, you pre-record those before the live broadcast. Just have the presenter, the nominees for this year's category of best short documentary are, list all the nominees and say, and the winner is so-and-so. Then cut right to the person being at the microphone. Don't wait 45 seconds for the person to go, oh, in their seat and get up, shake 5 hands, make the long, painful walk to scooch out of their aisle and then get down and walk down. Just go, and the nominees are blah, 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 and the winner is blah, and then cut right to the person at the microphone giving an acceptance speech, and then move on. There was a lot of people who cried and whined and moaned when they did something like that last year, but it was 100% the right thing because absolutely 0 people tune into the Oscars to see the category of Best Short Documentary. I'm not saying that's not a valuable contributor to the world of film. I'm just saying nobody tuned into the Oscars to watch that. So tighten it up, shorten it up a little. Don't do what the Game Awards does, where they just go, hey guys, we got a new category. This category is Best Animation in an Action Game. The nominees are blah, 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 and the winner was blah, blah, blah. Next category, we have, don't do that. Actually, show the presenter, listing off the nominees, announce the winner, show the winner at the microphone, blah. But you could cut you can cut 3/4 of the time out if you just cut out the fluff. Do that for 5 or 6 of the categories, make some room for the presentation, and instead of being like 95% ads, 5% awards, make it more like, 70% awards, 30% trailers and first looks at movies upcoming this year. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable, and that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Say hello to a stressless holiday season with the help of HelloFresh. Skip the grocery store and save time with easy, tasty recipes delivered right to your door. Because 'tis the season for giving and gathering, and with HelloFresh, it can also be the season of saving. Actually, save money this month with fresh recipes delivered cheaper than takeout, and with pre-portioned ingredients, you'll never waste money on excess food again. Guys, I've often talked about that Ann and I are both working professionals, and it can be a struggle around dinner time to get healthy and delicious meals put together. But with HelloFresh, they make it easy, they make it fun, and they make it delicious. So guys, go to HelloFresh.com/CampeaFree and use the code CampeaFree for free breakfast for life. 1 breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/CampeaFree with the code CampeaFree. So while I don't think you should do a direct one-to-one comparison, I do think there is something in there that the Oscars can learn from the Game Awards. It's not just about the year that was, it's also about building up hype and excitement for the year to come. So I don't know, you like, is any of that appealing to you?
You know what, I would get why they would do that, because, it's what the Oscars, what's important to them. Do they want more viewers? Do they want something that is just respectful to the award itself? The thing with the Video Game Awards is when we get through a year, we got to be thankful that we got through that year, and we got to at least give 1 hour, if not 3 hours, 1 hour, to just sit back, relax, and take it all in what we as humans accomplished this year. It's and they gave no time to anybody. There's people who died in that year developing a game, and that person couldn't even go up to the podium and say that person's name and give respects. It's as long as they find a balance where you're just appreciating what we've gone through, but also maybe looking ahead to the future too in aspects, I think you would have the perfect show. But finding that balance is real tough because trends change. People's watching habits change. We can see it on YouTube, the way videos are before and the way they make them now, quick cuts and stuff like that. It's what we gotta just find a balance where we're respectful to what we've accomplished in the past year, but also look forward to the, I don't deny doing big trailers during Oscars. I think it would actually be exciting, but just find a way to do it where we're still, praising what we've gone through too at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, it does.
Now,
Sure.
Here's the other thing, though. For anybody who's going to whine and cry, no, every single category, from short animated, from short documentary to this, everyone should be given all this time up on stage. Listen, everybody always complains, and I do too, that one of the problems with the Oscars is that it runs too long, okay? Well, you can't shorten it here's a little physics lesson for you. You can't shorten it without taking some stuff out. You can't shorten it without taking some stuff out. And you certainly can't shorten it and add another dimension of promoting and celebrating and hyping up the year to come in movies without taking some stuff out. So you got to find some compromise. It can't be a 5-hour long show. It shouldn't be hell, it shouldn't be a 3.5 hour long show. At tops, it should be 3 hours, peak. And if you want to incorporate some of that in, and I think it is a good idea to incorporate some of that in, but again, scale it properly, have the right balance, but you're going to have to cut some corners. And I think that means pre-record honestly, and I don't mean to sound unkind, but let's face it, there's 5 or 6 or 7 categories that the average person at home tuning in to watch the Oscars don't care about. So I'm not saying take them out entirely. I'm just saying pre-record those, tighten them up, give them their minute in the sun, and then move on with the show. But
and one last thing, John, we should always have a RRR performance on every Oscars, because that was that was the most entertainment part of, I think, last year's show. Was it last year's show?
Or was it last year or 2 years ago? Oh, that listen, I didn't like RRR, but that musical number was fire. Yeah, that musical number was great. It was one of the best parts of the show that year. It was absolutely fantastic. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.